Samantha. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Um, I'm a junior in high school. I'm gonna be graduating next year, 2015. Um, I've kind of have this like outgoing and bubbly personality. I just like to be friends with everyone, and it's kind of gotten me into some trouble. But you know, who hasn't? So yeah, that's just a little bit about myself.
So, thank you for coming down,
Thank
Samantha.
you for having me.
I'm pretty sure we had already told you that we tried to gather out some interviews for May for mental health awareness, which is May 8th.
Yes, woo!
So, we're just trying to gather up some stories to get, different point of views. So, we're going to start off by asking you some personal questions. You want to start off?
Have you ever been labeled or categorized?
Well, yeah, I'm labeled now. Like, I have, like, clinical depression. So, like, I guess you could say that that's a label. And, that's difficult to deal with when you're a 16-year-old with a label. But
Yeah.
Especially when you're 16, it's kind of like...
it's just, like, you trying to find yourself, but,
yeah,
like, other people are labeling you.
You're, like, in your prime time
Yeah.
where you're, kind of, like, on a high, like, ooh,
Yeah.
I mean, like... You don't start getting seriously when you're like in high school. I mean, for me, I didn't start getting serious until
college.
I was like, okay, it's time to get serious.
Yeah.
Like, no more goofing up, no more.
That's like kind of when you try and find yourself.
Yeah.
And like it getting labeled by other people, it's like frustrating because you're like labeled, oh, you have depression, you have anxiety, you're a whore, like
Yeah.
like don't, you're not me. Like don't, I categorize myself.
Yeah, like.
And I label what I am, not you.
Okay. What was the first time you ever faced or witnessed or experienced someone labeling you or being labeled?
Well, you see it like all throughout school. Like it's so weird. Like all throughout, like even elementary school, like you were labeled like, oh, you're cool or you have cooties or something. Like that's a label to me. Like you're being put off as something, but it's not like who you are. So I would just say like all throughout school, I've just been like,
it's school, basically.
Yeah, pretty much like my whole school life. Because that's all I've been through. But, yeah, like, or, like, in the real world, like, at work, sometimes, like, my boss, like, sometimes he'll be like, oh, you're, like, a little bit on the chatty side. Like, that's, like, a label, like, you talk a lot, you're very social, like, So, like, you see it throughout, like, workplaces and out in the real world.
Did this experience make you,
isolate yourself?
Or feel isolated?
Not really like isolated. It's just like it's more like complicated to find yourself then because like you have all these people saying what they think that you are and you're still trying to figure it out yourself and it's like all like jumbled up inside of you and it's like everywhere. And then, it brings up your anxiety, which you have, which is another label. And then it's like, oh, great, now I have another one. Yeah. It just gets, like, complicated.
Yeah. Well, life is complicated.
Yeah.
Pretty
Amen.
much. What happened when you came out and shared your story with your family or peers?
Well,
can you start off by, like, telling us your story?
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, that would make a little bit of sense. Well, like, when I was younger, I had to deal with, like, my parents being drug addicts and being, like, put in situations, like, being homeless and stuff or living in a car. Like, like, I just had to deal with that a lot when I was, like, younger. And then I kind of just, after I got, like, put into the foster care system, it got, like, super hard for me, and I was, like, I couldn't sleep. Like, I would always have nightmares about, like, things that I dealt with in my past. And then I was, like, going to family court a lot and just, dealing with my parents, and they were still using, so, like, they would be even, like, 10 times worse, coming to court high or something, and then, just, like, all hell breaks loose. And so now, like, I live with my grandparents, but they're divorced right now, and, like, their divorce has, like, affected me a lot, and it's made probably my depression go up, like, 5 times more because it's just like they fight all the time and they put me in the middle and stuff. So like that's another label that comes out is like, oh, your depression's getting higher because you're like the person with divorced parents, like, you know. So yeah, it's just like dealing with that, and like I had to come out to like my grandparents about things that had happened to me when I was a child, and I had to tell them about my experiences because they didn't know, like they didn't really have a lot of contact with me when I was younger because we were like everywhere. So it's just like I had to come out and tell them, and that was hard. And then like when I got diagnosed as being depressed, like coming out to them, like that was hard for them because like it was so young. Like I was only 13 when I got diagnosed. And then I got diagnosed for anxiety, and then it's like, and then PTSD, post-traumatic stress. I got diagnosed with that too.
Wow.
Yeah, so all these labels.
Oh yeah, the question. What happened when you came out and shared your story with your family and your peers?
Well, like I said, when I came out and like told them about what happened to me when I was younger, it was just like they were like upset, and they were disappointed that my parents would put me through that, and they were just like, it was more pity with them, like they were just like, oh, but like I've like coped with it enough, and I was just like, it's no big deal, like it's what happened.